Hey Pre-Algebra, welcome back. This is lesson 119. So I sent you videos for 117 and 118 that were not me. So hopefully those were helpful. If you have questions, make sure you ask me on Thursday. But I think that those were a better way to explain those concepts. Like I said with some of the other ones, like you just need a little bit more visual when I can't actually be there showing you in person and doing little activities or whatever to help demonstrate it. Some of them are just better off where you can watch a different video where somebody has been able to utilize their own resources and making it a little bit more visual. So those are good, I think, and hopefully have been helpful. But today we're going to look at division by zero. So we're talking about something we're kind of getting into things that will give you non-real answers, which we really haven't talked about much yet. So this might kind of like start to blow your mind a little bit. So just stay with me, okay? I'm going to do my best to explain this process to you and why it is the way that it is. So let's go ahead and just kind of start looking at this. The first question that we need to ask, let me get there, is what happens when you divide a number by zero in the calculator? Have you ever tried to do that? If not, you could get your calculator right now, like me. So I'm sure all of you have one sitting, or not all of you maybe, but most of you probably have one sitting right beside you because on this lovely little device that many of us have, there is a calculator. So if you were to take, oh, and I'm getting text messages. If you were to take any number, so you could pick any number, it would actually be kind of cool if we all did a different number. I'm going to do 852. You can do whichever number you want. I'm going to type in 852. You type in your number. And then divided by 0. Then hit enter. So if you did exactly what I just said, then we should all end up with the same answer, which is error. Not good, okay? So why do we get error? Because let's think about this. If we were doing, so I did 852, right? I did 852 divided by 0, okay, equals, and we ended up with error. Well, if you think about the reverse, 0, if I was saying like, well, 0 times what number equals 852? Well, really, 0 times nothing equals 852. Because 0 times anything is always going to equal 0. So that, in fact, would be why we end up getting an error there. You can also think about it like this. Well, if I'm trying to take 852, let's say this represents 852 Skittles, and I want to divide 852 Skittles into 0 groups, well, that's not possible because I have 852 Skittles. They're not just going to disappear. I can't put them into 0 groups. They have to at least be in one group or scattered out into a bunch of groups, but they're not just going to disappear unless I eat them, which I might. But you get my point. They're not just going to, if I'm trying to divide them out, they can't just disappear, okay? So anytime, as you could see by doing your calculator at the same time I did my calculator and we got the same answer, anytime you divided a number, any number, by 0, you will always get an error for your answer. That means when it says error, that means your answer is not real, okay? And I know y'all are like, what do you mean not real? Like imaginary? Well, actually, yeah, kind of. Like y'all are so far from imaginary numbers, so we're not going to talk about that yet. But it just means it's not a real number. If you think back to our number hierarchy, okay? And we said all these numbers are real numbers. And then we said in that group, you've got rational numbers. And then you've got irrational numbers over here. And then you've got integers. And then you've got whole numbers. And then you've got natural numbers or counting numbers, okay? So like anytime we've done a number hierarchy before, they've all fallen under this umbrella of real numbers. Everything is real. We have yet to really talk about non-real numbers, okay? So this is just a very, very slight introduction into non-real numbers. Anytime you divide by 0, you end up with a non-real number, okay? That means that this answer does not fit into any of these categories. Okay? I know, still might not totally make sense yet. So let's keep looking. Let's keep working on this. So let's look at, if we were asked to graph the following equation, what number could we not use in place of x when generating a table of ordered pairs? So here's the deal, guys. If we are using an equation like this, okay, and we are trying to make a graph, the fact that there's an x in the denominator of this equation, that should be a red flag to us, because whatever that x value is, it cannot be something that's going to make this whole denominator equal 0, okay? So when the question asks us what number could we not use in place of x when generating a table of ordered pairs, it's saying what would cause that 3 plus x, that denominator, to be equal to 0. Because whatever that value is, we can't use that one because we don't want 0 to be in our denominator because it's a non-real answer. So just like that, if we're trying to graph this, it would not show up on the graph. So we have to be paying attention to that anytime there's an x in the denominator, okay? So remember that, denominator, which means the bottom of the fraction, right? Denominator cannot be 0, ever. Okay, so here we're just solving for x, so minus 3. So x equals negative 3, which means, remember, we were solving for what can x not be. Because if I plug negative 3 in for x there, 3 plus negative 3 equals 0. That would make my denominator 0, which would make my answer not real. And I don't want that, okay? So my answer to the question, what number could we not use in place of x when generating, that's supposed to be generating, a table of ordered pairs, that would have to be x equals negative 3. Because again, we don't want that denominator to equal 0. Got it? Sounds good? You guys totally got this. I know you do. I know you still might not totally grasp the whole non-real number concept, but that's okay. There are grown-ups who still don't get it. So if you at least get it a little bit, then you're on your way. You guys are going to do great. So hang in there, keep working at this, and really for this lesson, the main thing you have to remember is that your denominator can never be equal to 0. Okay? All right. Happy homework.